The kingdom of Valari stretched across half a star system. Its cities shone with crystal towers and silver bridges that glimmered in the starlight. At the heart of this kingdom stood the royal palace, a fortress of beauty and power where Queen Serenia ruled with calm authority. Her people admired her wisdom and loved her only child, Prince Kalen. The day began with celebration. It was the annual festival of renewal, a time when nobles and common folk filled the palace halls to honor the new season. Lanterns floated in the air, glowing softly. Music echoed through corridors, and alien dancers spun in patterns that told old stories of Valari's victories. Among the honored guests was a small group of humans from Earth. Humanity was still new to the galaxy, only a few decades into contact with other civilizations. Most races thought humans were primitive, reckless, and too emotional. Yet curiosity always drew crowds to them. Their strange bravery, their restless energy, these qualities unsettled and fascinated the Valari nobles. One human stood apart from his group. His name was Marcus Hale, an engineer assigned as a technical advisor. He was not a warrior, not a noble, not someone anyone expected to notice. He carried no weapon, only a small toolkit on his belt. He came not for power or riches, but to learn from alien machines and offer small bits of Earth's own clever designs. Marcus, kept to himself as the Queen's child, Prince Kalen, walked among the guests. The boy was curious and bold, tugging at his mother's robe and darting toward displays of old war machines. The Queen followed, smiling at her son's energy but keeping guards close. In the grand hall stood one of the oldest machines of Valari history, the Sunspire, a tall device built to show the glory of their ancestors. It was a column of golden metal filled with hidden power, glowing faintly. No one had touched it in centuries, for it was more symbol than tool. But during the festival it was activated, releasing waves of light to awe the crowd. This year something went wrong. As the machine flared, sparks snapped across its surface. Its hum grew louder, unsteady. Nobles gasped, and guards stepped forward, but the Queen held up her hand. She believed the machine's failsafe would engage. Yet before anyone could act, a crack split across the device. A surge of unstable energy spilled out, spreading toward the floor where Prince Kalen stood. The boy froze. Bright arcs of burning light wrapped around him. The Queen's eyes widened in terror, her voice breaking as she called his name. No one moved quickly enough, except Marcus. The human's body acted before his mind had time to think. He sprinted across the hall, pushing past nobles and guards. In one motion, he threw himself between the boy and the bursting machine. The energy struck him full in the chest. Pain tore through him like fire and ice combined. He felt his skin burn and his muscles seize. His vision blurred as his knees buckled, but still his arms wrapped around the child, shielding him. Prince Kalen's small frame trembled against him, but the energy did not touch the boy. It all poured into Marcus instead. The hall erupted into chaos. Guards rushed forward, pulling the boy away as the machine finally collapsed into silence. Smoke drifted upward and the air smelled of scorched metal. Marcus crumpled to the floor. His breaths came ragged, his skin glowing faintly from the strange energy. "Get him to the healers." Queen Serenia's voice cut through the noise. She did not hesitate. Though her people mistrusted outsiders, though some nobles shouted that the human should be left to his fate, she would not allow it. The Queen's hand lifted with the weight of command. "Now!" Her guards obeyed. Marcus drifted in and out of awareness. He felt himself carried through long halls, his body heavy and weak. Voices spoke above him, strange words in alien tones, yet he caught the Queen's voice clearly. It was strong, but filled with fear. When he woke again, he lay in a healing chamber. Soft light glowed from crystal panels. Strange liquid tubes pulsed beside him, connected to his body. He felt a dull ache everywhere, but he was alive. At the edge of the chamber, Queen Serenia stood. Her tall form was wrapped in white robes edged with silver. Her eyes, golden and sharp, watched him not with scorn, but with something harder to name. Confusion, worry, and gratitude all at once. "You are awake," she said. Her voice carried the calm of a ruler, but the tremble of a mother. Marcus tried to sit up, groaning. "The boy, Prince Kalen, he's safe?" The Queen stepped closer. "He is unharmed. Because of you." She studied him, her gaze piercing. "You stepped into death for one who is not your own. Why?" Marcus looked at her, his face pale, his breath unsteady. He did not think of speeches or diplomacy. He said what he believed. A child is a child. doesn't matter whose. If I could stop him from suffering, then I had to. The queen fell silent. Her guards shifted uneasily, their alien armor clinking. No Valari would have done such a thing. Their culture prized survival, order, and caution. To throw one's life away for another was considered foolish. Yet here stood a human who had done it without hesitation. Prince Kalen entered the chamber, slipping past the guards. He ran to Marcus's side, clutching his arm. The boy's eyes, bright and wide, filled with tears. "You saved me," he whispered. He pressed his forehead against Marcus's shoulder and refused to let go. The queen reached for her son but stopped. The boy's small hands clung tightly to the human. Something inside her shifted. News spread quickly through the palace. Nobles whispered in corridors. Some mocked the human's foolishness. Others feared his presence. And a few wondered if Earth's people were more dangerous than they seemed. But in the heart of the palace, the queen sat alone that night thinking of the moment. She saw again the flash of energy, the human throwing himself forward the way he had cradled her child. No strategy, no calculation, only raw instinct to protect. It was not Valari. It was human. And for the first time in many years, Queen Serenia felt uncertain of her people's superiority. She resolved one thing: the human would not be cast aside. He had suffered in place of her child. Whatever the cost, she would not let him leave. The night deepened. The queen stood at the window of her chamber, gazing at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, the home of this strange man. A world of humans who acted not with caution but with heart. Her fingers tightened around the rail. Perhaps fate had brought him here for a reason, and so the story truly began. The morning after the incident, the palace seemed quieter than usual. Nobles whispered behind closed doors, guards moved with sharper attention, and the corridors carried a tension that had never existed before. Yet in the healing chamber, Marcus Hale stirred awake, feeling slightly stronger than before. The pain from the energy strike was still present, but his body, trained through years of Earth's hardships, refused to give in completely. Prince Kalen was already there. The boy had stayed by his side through the night, refusing to eat or sleep. His small hand gripped Marcus's arm, and his eyes, wide, golden, and innocent, followed every movement. "You're awake," the boy whispered, almost reverently. "You look different." Marcus smiled weakly. "A little. I've been through worse on Earth. I'll be fine." Kalen's fingers tightened around his arm. "I want to stay with you." The human looked into the boy's eyes and felt a strange warmth, a pull that went beyond duty. "I'll stay," he said softly. "But you have to promise me something. You have to listen to your mother when she calls you." "Okay." The boy nodded solemnly. By midday, Queen Serenia herself came to visit. She wore no mask of royalty, no guard beside her, only her natural calm authority. Her expression was a mixture of curiosity and caution. Humans, she realized, were unlike any other species she had met. They acted without fear, sometimes recklessly, and yet there was a courage in them that no Valari had shown in centuries. "You risked your life for Kalen," she said directly, her voice firm. "Do you understand what that means for our people?" Marcus looked at her evenly. "I don't want reward. I don't want honor. I acted because it was the right thing to do. Kalen's life mattered." The queen's brow furrowed. "Your kind acts without strategy. No Valari would have done this." "You do not fear consequences?" Marcus shook his head. "I fear many things, but seeing a child hurt, that fear is nothing compared to what I would feel if I did nothing." The queen fell silent, considering his words. Her advisors had always praised careful planning, patience, and control. Humans did not follow these rules, yet somehow, this human had succeeded where many Valari warriors would have failed. Kalen tugged at Marcus's hand. "Do they always talk like this?" he asked. Marcus chuckled softly. "Sometimes, but not all the time. You'll get used to it." The queen returned each day, watching him in secret. At first she observed from behind palace screens or through guards' reports, but gradually she began to see his nature firsthand. Marcus helped repair palace machines damaged by the festival, organized small teams to fix structural issues, and even calmed anxious soldiers with words of encouragement. Where Valari culture prized strict hierarchy and obedience, Marcus acted with humility and leadership at the same time. He did not demand respect, he earned it. And slowly, even the skeptical guards and engineers began to admire him. "Why do you help us?" one young soldier asked quietly. You are not our ally by birth. You have no obligation here. Marcus looked at him with steady eyes. Because it is the right thing to do. If we only help our own kind, then what are we? The soldier did not answer. He simply what? The palace of Valari never truly slept. Even at night, its crystal halls reflected the soft light of distant stars. But a subtle tension had settled over the court since the incident with the Sunspire. The human who had risked his life for Prince Kalen had become the center of whispers, curiosity, and unease. Queen Serenia walked through the halls in quiet contemplation. Guards bowed as she passed, and the faint hum of machines filled the background. She had spent hours thinking about Marcus Hale, the human who had changed so much in so little time. His courage, his selflessness, his natural ability to inspire, it all unsettled her. She realized that she had never met anyone like him. Your Majesty, one of her advisors, Lord Velric, said quietly as she entered the council chamber. The human is unusual, perhaps too unusual. The palace is not safe with him here. Nobles are uneasy and the soldiers, they hesitate. Serenia paused, her gaze distant. Do you wish me to send him away? Velric hesitated. It may be wise. He is unpredictable. He could bring danger or influence over your son. The queen's eyes narrowed. And if he leaves? She asked. Do you think Kalen will forget him? Velric looked uncomfortable. Children form attachments quickly, Your Majesty, but perhaps it is best if the attachment does not grow too strong. Serenia did not respond immediately. She thought of the way Marcus had risked his own life for her son without hesitation. She thought of how the boy clung to him, trusting him more than anyone else. She would not let him leave. Not yet. The next morning, Marcus was already awake, assisting Kalen in the gardens. The boy was learning how to operate a small device, a miniature model of the Sunspire, rebuilt from pieces that had fallen during the festival. Marcus guided his hands carefully, showing him how to adjust energy flows without causing danger. You must be careful, Marcus said softly, watching the boy's movements. Every little action matters. One mistake can create a big problem. Kalen nodded, focused. I understand. But you're here with me, so I'm not afraid. Marcus smiled. Good. That is the right way to learn. The queen appeared in the garden quietly, watching them. From a distance, she observed how Marcus interacted with Kalen, not as a teacher or a guardian, but as someone who truly cared. The boy laughed when Marcus teased him gently, and Marcus's eyes softened when Kalen proudly completed a tricky adjustment. Serenia realized something she had not expected. The human's presence was teaching her son more than machines or history lessons ever could. He was teaching him courage, patience, and the value of empathy. Later that day, the queen summoned Marcus to a private chamber. He entered, bowing slightly, unsure of what she wanted. Sit, she commanded. He obeyed. Marcus Hale, you have shown bravery and skill beyond what I expected from your kind. Yet your presence here is complicated. Marcus looked at her, waiting for her to continue. You are not of this world. You do not understand our traditions fully. You do not follow our rules, and yet you have earned a place here through your actions. Marcus nodded. I do what I can. I only wish to help. The queen studied him for a long moment. And what if your actions bring danger? The court is divided. Some see you as a hero, others as a threat. And She stopped, taking a deep breath. I cannot allow you to leave, not yet. I will not abandon the one who risked his life for my son. Marcus's brow furrowed. I do not wish to cause trouble, Your Majesty. I can return to Earth if that is better for you and the boy. Serenia shook her head. No, your place is here, at least for now. You have shown qualities that our people have forgotten. I need to understand you better, and I need Kalen to learn from you. Marcus hesitated but nodded. Then I will stay. For the boy. The queen's expression softened. She did not say it aloud, but part of her wondered. Was it only for the boy, or had his courage and honesty touched something in her as well? The days passed, and Marcus continued to prove himself invaluable. He repaired ancient palace machinery that no Valari had dared touch for decades. He organized soldiers and engineers to work efficiently, solving problems the court thought impossible. Yet the more he accomplished, the more the court grew uneasy. Some nobles whispered that the queen was showing favoritism. Others feared that the human's influence over Kalen could lead to unexpected consequences. One evening, during a private lesson with Kalen, Marcus noticed that the boy seemed troubled. What is wrong? He asked. Kalen looked down, twisting a small gear in his hands. Some of the nobles, they say you're dangerous, that I should not trust you too much. Marcus knelt to meet the boy's gaze. Kalen, listen to me. I am here to help you, to protect you, and to teach you. Do not let fear of others change how you see the truth. Trust is earned, but it is worth holding on to. The boy nodded, relief flooding his expression. I trust you, Marcus, always. Marcus smiled, feeling the bond grow stronger. It was a quiet moment, but it solidified something important. The boy saw him not just as a helper, but as a guardian, someone to rely on in the most difficult times. Meanwhile, the queen continued to wrestle with her feelings. Marcus was a human, and humans were outsiders. Yet every day he demonstrated qualities that Valari themselves had lost: selflessness, courage, and honesty. She wondered what it would mean for her kingdom if humans and Valari could work together. Could she trust this one human with the future of her son and her people? To answer her own questions, she began observing him more closely. She watched how he spoke with soldiers, how he treated Kalen, how he made decisions under pressure. She noticed his humility, his patience, and his ability to inspire loyalty without fear or force. Something inside her shifted. Humans, she realized, were not just strange or reckless. They were capable of greatness in ways Valari had forgotten. And this one human, he was extraordinary. Tension in the court grew. Some nobles approached the queen privately, warning her about the human. Your Majesty, if you continue to favor him, the council may lose faith in your judgment, one whispered. Serenia listened calmly but replied firmly, I will not abandon the one who saved my son. Do not mistake caution for weakness. He is here for a reason, and his presence may teach us more than you understand. The noble bowed but left with a tight expression. The queen knew that change was never welcomed easily. Yet she also knew that Marcus's influence could be a force for good, both for her son and her kingdom. One night, as the stars shone over Valari, Marcus stood on the balcony of the palace with Kalen. The boy held a small model of the sun spire, proudly showing the adjustments he had made under Marcus's guidance. You've taught me so much, Kalen said softly. I want to be brave like you. Marcus placed a hand on his shoulder. You already are brave. Courage is not just about fighting or risk. It's about doing what is right even when it's hard. Remember that. Kalen smiled and hugged him. Marcus felt a warmth he had not expected. It was not just responsibility that tied him to the boy. It was care, trust, and something deeper he could not yet name. From her chamber, the queen watched the scene silently. She understood that Marcus had changed more than the boy. He had begun to change her perspective too. She could see clearly now that humans were more than mere outsiders. They could be teachers, protectors, and perhaps even allies in ways the galaxy had not yet imagined. The night was quiet, but the palace was no longer the same. With Marcus in their midst, something new had begun, a bond that challenged old traditions, inspired courage, and brought hope. And for Queen Serenia, the choice was clear. She could not let him leave, not now, not ever. The peace in the palace of Valari was fragile. Even as Marcus Hale continued his work with Prince Kalen, shadows stirred outside the shining walls. Word of a human who had risked his life for the royal child had reached distant corners of the galaxy. Rival kingdoms, hungry for influence and power, saw an opportunity. To them, a human in the palace was not a hero. It was a threat, a symbol that Valari's security had been broken one night. As Marcus and Kalen walked along the palace gardens, the boy chattered happily about machines and inventions. Marcus listened with a quiet smile, enjoying the rare moments of peace. Yet he remained alert, his instincts from Earth never resting. Queen Serenia watched from her chamber above. She sensed unease, a disturbance she could not yet define. Her thoughts returned to Marcus and her son. Both were in the open gardens, away from guards for a moment of freedom. The queen's pulse quickened. Danger could strike at any time. In the darkness beyond the palace walls, figures moved silently. They were assassins from the rival kingdom of Dreelan, trained to kill without trace. Their target was simple: the human and the prince. The leader, a tall figure cloaked in shadow, whispered to his team, "Tonight, the child and the human die. The queen will learn the cost of letting outsiders near her bloodline." They moved with precision, their weapons designed to pierce armor and bypass defenses. In their eyes, Marcus was just another obstacle, a human who dared to meddle in alien politics. Back in the garden, Marcus noticed movement out of the corner of his eye. The hairs on his neck stood up. "Kalen," he said softly, his voice low. "Stay behind me." The boy froze, unsure of what to do. Marcus crouched slightly, scanning the shadows. The assassins had not yet revealed themselves fully, but their presence was undeniable. A sudden strike flashed from the darkness. Marcus reacted instantly, throwing. The palace had regained its usual rhythm, though attention lingered beneath the surface. Guards patrolled more carefully. Nobles whispered behind closed doors, and the boy, Prince Kalen, still shadowed Marcus everywhere. The attack by the assassins had changed something in everyone. It had shown that even the strongest palace could be vulnerable, and that the human who had risked his life was now indispensable. Marcus spent his days repairing machines, training soldiers, and teaching Kalen about courage and strategy. The bond between him and the boy grew stronger, but Marcus felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had come from Earth to learn and help in small ways, not to be bound to an alien palace for life. One morning, he requested an audience with Queen Serenia. "Your Majesty," Marcus began, bowing slightly, "I wish to speak honestly. I believe my presence here has caused complications. I did what I could for Kalen, but now, I feel I may be putting you, your son, and your kingdom at risk." The Queen studied him, her golden eyes steady. "And what do you wish, Marcus Hale?" she asked quietly. "I wish to leave," he said simply. "Return to Earth. I am only one man. The danger I bring may be greater than the help I provide. I do not want to endanger you or the boy further." Queen Serenia's expression did not change, though inside, a storm of emotion brewed. She had watched Marcus save her son, teach her people, and face death with a courage that no Valari had ever shown. To let him go now would feel like betrayal, not just to Marcus, but to the bond that had formed between him and Kalen. "You misunderstand," she said, her voice firm. "You are not a danger. You are a protector, and I will not allow you to leave." Marcus shook his head. "I am not here to defy you, Your Majesty. I only wish to protect you by leaving. I have no claim to this palace, this kingdom, or your son." Serenia stepped closer, her eyes locking onto his. "And yet you have claimed all three through your actions. You risked your life for Kalen. You guided my soldiers. You taught lessons that generations of Valari have forgotten. You belong here, Marcus, not because I command it, but because your presence is needed." He looked at her, struggling to find words. "I never asked for recognition or power or influence. I only did what I thought was right." "And that is exactly why you must stay," the Queen replied. "Because you act for what is right, not for gain. That is something our people have lost. That is something I cannot let go." Marcus considered her words. He knew she was right in some ways. He had indeed become part of the palace, part of Kalen's life, and part of her world. Yet he still felt the pull of home, the memories of Earth, and the need to live his own life. I cannot simply stay because you command it," he said. "I must choose it for myself. I must decide if I am willing to risk everything for this kingdom permanently." Queen Serenia's gaze softened. She understood his hesitation. Humans acted with conscience, not just obedience. To force him to stay would betray everything she admired about him. Instead, she spoke gently. "Then choose wisely," she said. "But know this. Your choice affects more than just yourself. Kalen trusts you, the palace relies on you, and I will not let you go easily." Marcus took a deep breath. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him, stronger than any machine, stronger than any danger he had faced on Earth. He had seen the loyalty of Valari soldiers grow because of his actions. He had seen Kalen's trust and admiration, and he had seen the Queen's respect and reliance. Perhaps leaving was not the right choice. Perhaps staying, despite the danger, was the only way to ensure the boy's safety and the future of the palace. The next day, the Queen tested him in ways that were subtle but revealing. She assigned him tasks to reorganize palace defenses, improve communication between guards, and guide soldiers through drills. She observed quietly, noting his decisions, his methods, and his ability to inspire loyalty. Marcus performed every task with calm focus. He repaired ancient machines with care, showed patience to hesitant soldiers, and instructed Kalen without condescension. The palace slowly began to see the truth. Marcus was not just an outsider, he was indispensable. Some nobles still murmured behind closed doors, wary of the human's influence. Yet the queen ignored them, standing firmly in her belief that Marcus's presence was vital. She saw what no one else could see, a man whose courage and loyalty were reshaping her palace for the better. That night, the queen invited Marcus to dine with her privately. The dining hall was quiet, lit by soft lanterns. Kaelin was asleep in his chambers. "Marcus," she began, "I have seen your courage, your wisdom, and your care for my son. You have risked your life not once but twice, and now you ask to leave." "I do," Marcus admitted, "because I fear the consequences of my presence. I do not wish to cause harm to those I care for." Serenia leaned forward, her voice gentle but unwavering. "Then consider this. Staying is not just about duty. It is about trust, loyalty, and the bonds you have formed. You have already claimed a place here, not by command but by action. Leaving would undo what you have built. You may think you are protecting us by leaving, but in truth, staying may be the greater protection of all." Marcus felt the weight of her words. He realized she spoke not as a queen ordering him, but as someone who understood him, someone who trusted him completely. The thought of abandoning Kaelin, who now looked to him as a guardian and teacher, was unbearable. I will stay," he said finally, his voice low but firm. "Not because you command it, but because I choose to." The queen smiled faintly, a mixture of relief and satisfaction. "Then stay, Marcus Hale. Know that you are valued here more than you may ever understand." In the following days, Marcus threw himself into his work with renewed determination. He trained soldiers, taught Kaelin, and repaired palace machinery. Every action strengthened the palace's defenses and morale. The boy, proud and eager, shadowed Marcus constantly. "You are the bravest person I know," Kaelin said one afternoon, examining a small device Marcus had repaired. Marcus smiled. "You are learning quickly, Kaelin. Bravery is not about fearlessness, it is about doing what is right even when you are afraid." Kaelin nodded seriously. "I want to be brave like you." "You already are," Marcus replied. "Bravery is inside everyone, even if they don't always see it." Meanwhile, the queen continued to observe them. She saw how Marcus's presence was transforming her son, her soldiers, and even parts of the court. Humans, she realized, had a way of inspiring loyalty and courage that Valari had long forgotten. Marcus's influence was subtle, but profound. She began to understand that keeping him in the palace was not only necessary for Kaelin's safety, but also for the kingdom's future. The human had become more than a protector. He was a teacher, a leader, and a symbol of values that had been lost over centuries, and she could not let him go. That evening, the queen met Marcus in her private gardens. The stars shone brightly above, casting a soft glow over the palace. "You have chosen to stay," she said softly, "and yet I know the choice was not easy." Marcus nodded. "It was not. I have risked much, and I know I may risk more. But Kaelin, your son, and this kingdom, they are worth it." The queen looked at him with a mixture of respect and something deeper, gratitude, admiration, and perhaps even a quiet affection she had not expected. "Then stay, Marcus. Stay not as a prisoner, but as someone we need, someone we trust, someone who has proven himself beyond words." Marcus met her gaze. He understood her meaning. He was no longer merely a visitor from another world. He had become a part of the palace, a part of Kaelin's life, and a part of Queen Serenia's trust. And in that moment, a new bond was formed, a bond stronger than duty, stronger than fear, and stronger than any threat that might come from the shadows. Outside the palace, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the events below, but inside the walls a human had chosen to stay, and his courage had begun to change everything. The palace of Valari was no longer just a place of beauty and tradition. It had become a place of courage, loyalty, and hope, and at the heart of it all stood Marcus Hale, a human who had suffered for others, who had earned the queen's trust, and who had chosen to remain, no matter the cost. The final decision had been made. Marcus would stay, and the palace, the boy, and the queen would face the future together, with courage, honor, and the unbreakable bond forged in the fires of choice and sacrifice. The palace of Valari stood tall beneath the light of distant stars, but Marcus Hale could feel the tension in the air. The recent attack had proven that their enemies would not stop, that rival kingdoms would try again to exploit weakness. He knew this was only the beginning. Yet for the first time, Marcus felt a true sense of belonging. This was not his world, but it had become his responsibility. Prince Kalen ran toward him across the training yard, excitement in his eyes. "Marcus, look! I learned a new technique to balance the energy flow, see?" Marcus crouched, examining the small device Kalen had built. The boy had carefully followed his instructions, and the result was impressive. "Very good, Kalen. You're learning fast. Soon you may surpass even me." The boy grinned. "I want to protect the palace like you do." Marcus smiled softly. "And you will. Bravery is not just about strength, it's about doing what is right, even when you are afraid." Queen Serenia watched from a balcony above, her golden eyes observing both of them. She saw Marcus guiding the boy,